Welcome all to SST College of Arts and Commerce. This is SST Edupedia. Myself, Assistant Professor Yogesh Patil from the Department of IT and Computer Science. Friends, today we are going to discuss the continuation of the topic transmission media. This is transmission media part 2 for SYIT and SYCS, for third semester SYIT and fourth semester SYCS. So friends, in previous video we have discussed about the transmission media and we have thoroughly gone through the guided transmission media. Just we will get a short summary for that. There are two different types of transmission medium, that is guided and unguided. In guided medium we have discussed about twisted pair cable. In that we have seen shield twisted pair cable and unshielded twisted pair cable. Then the second is coaxial cable. Then we have discussed about the fiber optic cables. These are the types of or which covers under the guided transmission medium. Today in this video we are going to discuss the unguided transmission medium, or we can say the wireless transmission medium. So unguided transmission medium, these basically transporting an electromagnetic waves without using any physical conductor. We are using only a wireless communication for the data transmission. In this, signal broadcast has been done through the free space and available to the capable receiver. So as you can see in the diagram, electromagnetic spectrum for the wireless medium 3 kilohertz to 300 gigahertz for radio waves and microwaves, and 300 gigahertz to 400 terahertz, it is for infrared signal. It has been reserved for that signals. Now before understanding the guided media we have to understand the propagation method. So friends, there are three basic propagation methods, that is ground propagation, sky propagation and line of sight propagation. All this propagation has been carried out within the ionosphere of the earth. As you can see, the ground propagation, it has a capacity below the 2 megahertz. So the signals which having 2 megahertz capacity, they has been transferred through the ground propagation. Then we have a sky propagation, in that the signals which having 2 to 30 megahertz capacity, which has been transmitted through the sky propagation. And for line of sight we are using, or we are transmitting the signal over the 30 megahertz. So as you can see, for a ground propagation there are two different antennas through which in between which we are transmitting the signal. So the radio waves usually travels to the lowest portion of the atmosphere. Many of times these are very close to the earth. Then we have sky propagation. In the sky propagation, as you can see, there are two different antennas which sharing the data with the help of radio waves, and these radio waves are redirected to the ionosphere and then they have reflected back to the earth, and the data has been traveled in the same way. So in this way, two different towers has been used. One is using as a sender, one is used as a receiver, and data transmission has been carried out by this sky propagation. Then we have line of sight. As you can see, in line of sight there is a straight data transmission, or both antennas are connected or in a straight line. So we can send or we can transmit a data directly to the antenna to the another antenna. So in straight line directly from one antenna to another antenna, if we are transmitting the signal, then it is known as a line of sight propagation. So as you can see in a table, we have a different bands which we are used in this propagation method. We have VLF band, LF band, MF band, HF band, VHF band, UHF bands, SHF and EHF. These having the range from 3 kilometers to 300 gigahertz. Basically, these has been used for a radio waves signal data transmission. As you can see, they are using ground propagation, sky propagation and line of sight propagation. Usually they have used for a long range of radio navigation, then the radio beacons, then AM radio, FM radios, then there are some private citizen bands for which we can use this kind of data transmission, then for UHF TV signal, then cellular phone, paging, satellites, all these, or a satellite communication, or a long range radio navigation has been carried out with this propagation methods. Let's see what are the different unguided media we used for data transmission. So for data transmission there are three basic transmission waves we are using. The very first is radio waves, then microwaves and infrared signals. So as you can see, in unguided media, radio waves, if you can see, there is one antenna which spread a signal in an oval or a circular motion. This is an omnidirectional antenna which spreads the signal around it. It has been a frequency from 3 kilohertz to 1 gigahertz. Basically, these antennas or these radio waves has been used for multicasting, or we can say a multi-way for the communication such as radio and the television, as well as we can use this for a paging system as well. Then these radio waves can penetrate the building easily, so there wasn't any obstacle for this data transmission, and you can easily use this signal indoor as well as outdoor for the successful communication. In the same way, we have few antennas through which we are using or we are transmitting this signal. As you can see, there are few structural antennas which has implanted, or the radio signals are impacted on the surface and they have concentrated or gathered at one focused end through which we are receiving the signal. Usually you can see the dish TV or dish antenna which we use for cable television, these are using such kind of technology. So the antenna is structured that generally metallic object, maybe wired or group of wire, is used to convert high frequency current into the electromagnetic waves. And these antenna are basically two types. One is transmission antenna and one is reception antenna. The transmission antenna, these are used to transmit the radio frequency, and then the radio frequency has been converted into the electromagnetic energy by these antennas, and this antenna then radiate it into surrounding system in a omnidirection. Then we have a reception antenna, the antenna which accept the electromagnetic energy signals and they convert it into a radio frequency, and then we are able to receive those signals at the receiver's end. Then we have microwaves. In a microwave signal, as you can see, microwaves are ideal when large area needed to cover and there is no obstacle in the path. For example, if there is any other obstacle and two antennas have not disturbed by any obstacle, then in that case we can use microwaves. As you can see, in the different kind of propagation, we can use a line of sight propagation over here. As you can see in a diagram, if any obstacle, for example hill or any other building or anything, if it comes in between that, then the microwaves has been reflected. So we can't use microwave signal for such kind of things. It needs to be obstacle free. Then for microwave data transmission, it always unidirectional. Then microwaves, electromagnetic waves, has a frequency between 1 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz. These are the two type of microwave communication system. One is for terrestrial and one is for satellite. As you can see, we can use a Bluetooth signal, then cellular phone technology, or a Wi-Fi or a WiMAX kind of communication, satellite communication. We can use these microwaves for the data communication. Then next we have infrared signal. These are basically used for the frequency which having 3 gigahertz to 300 gigahertz to 400 terahertz frequency. Basically these signals has been used for a short distance. These signals may affected by the obstacle, so there should not be any obstacle. If we see the example, then the night vision camera or a remote control or a file sharing system in between two phones through the infrared, this kind of communication system can use this infrared signal for communicating or for the successful data transmission. So friends, we have discussed about guided media and unguided media in these two videos. In guided media, we have seen coaxial cable, twisted pair cable, as well as fiber optic cable. In unguided medium, we have discussed about the propagation models, and we have discussed about the three different types of data transmission, that is radio wave, infrared signal, and microwaves. Thank you, and kindly share, subscribe and comment on the channel. Thanks a lot.